Well, there are several. One is clearly the need to develop Eastern Russia, everything that lies east of the Urals. The situation today is that in this globalized world, Russia's most depressed portion is physically touching on one of the most dynamic regions of the world. And in order to just stay where you are, you need to really increase your level of engagement in economic development in the Far East and Siberia. So that's the most important thing. The other thing is that Russia is now seeking rebalancing of its foreign policy. It has experienced a rupture in its relations with the West. It has a confrontational relationship with the U.S. It has alienation, unfortunately, sadly, estrangement from Europe. It needs to develop its other geographical directions, and Asia comes at the top of the list. Well, the good thing about Russia in Asia is that, unlike in Europe, it doesn't have exactly the same legacy of the past. The burden of other things, the burden of colonialism, or whatever you call it, hegemony, etc. So it doesn't have to overcome that very difficult period of the past. Clearly, China is the biggest partner, but China is not and should not be Russia's only partner in Asia. Next to China, and again, I will not dispute China's importance or even primacy in this Asian architecture of Russia's Asia policy, but there's Japan next to China, Asia's most developed economy, Asia's most developed investment market, Asia's most developed technological power. There's South Korea, which is very, very important also. Down south, there's India, huge power with an enormous potential, and in principle, an all-rounded, comprehensive power. There's Southeast Asia, with a market of 500 million people, where Russia has a long-standing partner in Vietnam. And then there are many other countries that make Russia's foreign policy in Asia extremely rich in terms of bilateral relationships. The issue is to bring those bilateral relationships into a kind of a overarching strategy and expand that strategy beyond Asia into the Pacific, because Russia's eastern dimension does not only include the continent of Asia and the islands next to that continent. It stretches all the way to the Pacific coastline from, let's say, Alaska in the north to Australia in the south. Well, the consequence, the number one consequence, potentially, if you look at the potentially positive developments, is that it can lead to a better balancing of Russia's foreign policy. There's an all-important relationship with Europe, and Europe will always be exceedingly important to Russia and closest of all other regions to where most Russians live. But it will also hopefully make Russia a more global player. It will no longer be solely focused on Europe as it has been historically. It will develop a better understanding of other countries, starting with China, but also India and Japan and other countries in that part of the world. Russia will also develop, hopefully, a more global vision by looking across the Pacific to the United States. The stakes are very high. If Russia succeeds in its domestic economic development, first of all in Siberia and the Far East, it will be a useful and valuable party to the emerging greater Eurasia, if you like. If Russia is unable to do that, it will be just a transit country on China's westward march to meet Europe.